Hi everyone! Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of my Top 5, where I discuss my top 5 favorites of a topic. Before I start, may I remind you that while the following list contains some pieces of facts and information, the list itself will generally be based on opinions, so please don't get upset just because something you like did not make the list. My time with Pokemon goes back a long way when I received a copy of Pokemon Blue in early 1999. I fell in love with the game, and I couldn't stop playing it. But then everything changed by the time summer came around that year, when I was given one of these. A Pokemon trading card game 2-player starter set. I never forgot how excited I was the first time my eyes gazed on that first edition holographic Machamp card. Along with the 230 card decks, a new era in my life has begun. And that's why for this video, I'll be discussing my top 5 favorite Pokemon cards from the base set, the first set of cards for the Pokemon trading card game, which released on January 9, 1999. There are no honorable mentions in this video, as any cards that would make the spot are instead getting a second chance in my top 5 favorite base set 2 cards, which a video on that will be released sometime in the future. So which cards from the base set are my favorite? There are plenty of iconic cards to pull and collect, and it took me a lot of thought and examining of all 102 cards to determine which ones are worthy. I hope you're ready, because here it is, my top 5 favorite Pokemon cards from the base set. Let's do it.
Number 5.
Professor Oak, a staple trainer card that was used mainly in every competitive deck in 1999. It has a simple, but also a truly effective ability. Discard your hand, then draw 7 cards. It works at its very best when it's the only card in your hand, meaning you go from 0 hand to a fresh hand of 7 cards. That's something that Bill can't do, even though it's a good trainer card in itself. With a card like Professor Oak, it was easy to burn through your deck, retrieving the cards that you want. Personally, I like to run 1 copy of this card in my deck instead of 2 through 4. That's because sometimes your hand will contain more than 1 Professor Oak, and to use one, you'll have to discard the others. With all that said, a trainer card that good ain't the only reason why Professor Oak made it on the list. I mean, come on! He's the leading authority on Pokemon! It's time to give credit where credit is due, and his dues are paid in full. In Pokédollars.
Number 4.
Pikachu. As you know, Pikachu is my favorite Pokemon of all time, and most likely everyone else's as well. Every time I think of Pikachu as a trading card, this one comes to mind first. It's not really too good of a card in competitive play. Its Thunder Jolt move has a chance to recoil damage to Pikachu's low 40 HP. But it's better than Charmander's Ember. I don't want to burn away my energy cards, more on that in the next pick on this list. But with a nod to Mitsuhiro Arita for the great artwork, this card is really special. There are so many variants of this card all over the place. It comes in Yellow Cheeks and Red Cheeks, with the latter in First and Unlimited editions, the E3 stamp, Poketour 1999, it was in base set 2, it just got a reprint in the XY Evolution set a few years ago. Heck, there's even a secret rare card in the set Platinum Rising Rivals, where Arita himself redrew the original artwork to be more modern. This card and its artwork will always be in every Pokefan's minds more than any other Pikachu card on the market. Does anyone remember the Pokemon Song Best Collection CD? Luckily, I own a sealed copy for myself. Each sealed CD comes with a pack of the same 11 cards, including Charizard, Blastoise, and others. Every card in the CD is Japanese, except for one. It was an English card to help introduce the Japanese to how the Western world played the Pokemon trading card game. Guess what card it was? Yep. Period.
Number 3.
Energy Removal. Whenever I boot up Pokemon trading card game for Game Boy Color, I always take the opportunity to run a playset of these cards in my main deck. This trainer card is absolutely and unquestionably broken in your favor. Other iterations of this card and its ability still exist in current times, except with the catch that you have to pass a coin flip. The ability is, and I quote, choose one energy card attached to one of your opponent's Pokemon and discard it. The main premise of a match in the Pokemon trading card game is to take all of your prize cards first before your opponent does. How do you claim one of your 6 prize cards? Knock out one of your opponent's Pokemon with the attacks of your active Pokemon. How do you attack? Equip the right amount of energy cards to use that attack. No energy cards? You can't attack. You can't knock out anything. You can't claim prize cards. You can't win. This is the exact strategy I use against my foe, and energy removal helps me just do that. Unless my opponent gets lucky and wins because I ran out of Pokemon on the field, or I ran out of cards to draw from my deck. On the flip-flop side, I can't stand sacrificing my own energy cards to use an effect. This is what I mentioned earlier about Charmander and its Ember attack. It costs 1 fire energy to be sent to the discard pile to inflict damage. Same goes for Charmeleon and Mewtwo, which now leaves me with one other trainer card I can't stand to play despite being incredible to use. Super Energy Removal. The ability of this card is discard 1 energy card attached to one of your own Pokemon in order to choose one of your opponent's Pokemon and up to 2 energy cards attached to it. Discard those energy cards. Sounds great, but what if all of your opponent's Pokemon only have 0 or 1 energy card each? Then Super Energy Removal doesn't get the full proper effect. Not worth it if you ask me. With Energy Removal, there's no drawbacks. It's small and slim pickings, that's for sure, but it's also free. And the kicker? It's a common! A freaking common! And I'm not done talking about discarding energy cards just yet.
Number 2.
Dragonair. I just like to point out, that is a beautiful, majestic looking art piece if I ever seen one. Someday I would like to have this drawing mounted on my wall. Hats off to Mitsuhiro Arita for this one. Anyways, I'm not fond of its slam attack for 3 DCE, giving you a 25% chance of doing 0 damage. I would prefer this move to flip 3 coins and have 20 times for damage. That way, you would have a 12.5% chance of inflicting 0 damage. But what I really want to talk about on this card is Hyper Beam. For 4 DCE, it may not hit heavy with its 20 damage output, but its special ability easily makes up for it, allowing you to discard 1 energy attached to the defendant Pokemon, if it has any, including DCE. Dragonair's attacks are colorless, so it can work in any deck. It only needs to be evolved once to use it, no weakness, psychic resistance, and 80 HP for a stage 1 Pokemon. Its retreat cost is a little chunky, but seeing as Hyper Beam, combined with energy removal, can drain some, or even most, of your opponent's energy to a point that they have an awful hard time inflicting any damage at all, you don't need to worry about Dragonair being KO'd. The same can't be said for another similar card from the base set, Poliwrath. It may look stronger with 90 HP and Water Gun that I would prefer over Slam any day, but that's all that's good for Poliwrath. With a Grass weakness, no resistance, heavy retreat cost, and Whirlpool that costs 1 DCE and 2 water energy, meaning you have to run this Pokemon in a full or part water deck. Whirlpool's 40 damage output is what bothers me the most, because with some weak Pokemon during its time, like Pidgey, Voltorb, Venonat, and Horsey, they can be KO'd without activating Whirlpool's ability. And with Poliwrath being a Stage 2 Pokemon, which requires 2 evolutions, it's not worth it. Hyper Beam inflicts perfect chip damage as long as your opponent can't attack back due to having the unfortunate lack of energy. It's like a slow and painful knockout for your enemy's Pokemon. So no matter how much you grow, or even shrink, Dragonair is the shoe that always fits and never stinks. Oops! Unintentional rhyme.
Number 1.
Is there any doubt? Charizard, the one and only. Back in the day, everyone wanted this card, and even today, everyone wants this card, all notably in first edition. At one point, it was a powerful beast to use in competitive play, with Fire Spin inflicting a whopping 100 damage, and with the Pokemon Power Energy Burn, you don't have to run this flame-breathing lizard in a deck with fire energy. Zapdos from the same set has a move with similar damage output, albeit it would waste all of its energy to use it, compared to Charizard's 2 energy. With a move like Fire Spin, only 3 Pokemon from the first generation card sets were able to survive such a deadly attack, without the need of Defender. Those Pokemon are Charizard itself, Chansey from the same set, and Giovanni's Nidoking from Gym Challenge, each having 120 total HP. For a short while, Charizard was unstoppable until some other Pokemon cards showed up to turn the tables. Cards like Mr. Mime from Jungle and its Invisible Wall rendered Fire Spin useless, and Muck from Fossil and its Toxic Gas made sure Charizard was using the correct energy. While its run on the battlefield was short-lived, its legacy will live on forever. One more nod to Mitsuhiro Arita for such incredible artwork that got every Pokemon fan to drool and make the highest effort necessary to add this card to their collection. The drawing is so good, it wasn't the last time we saw Charizard like this. It was in Base Set 2, Legendary Collection, XY Evolutions. The 20th Anniversary Generation set had Charizard EX, which strikes a similar pose, and then there's a redrawing by Arita himself for a secret rare card in Diamond and Pearl Stormfront, proving the popularity of the Pokemon. I can even make a claim and say everyone fell in love with this card due to their attachment with Charizard in Pokemon Red and Blue. If you selected Charmander as your starting partner, you're gonna have a great journey through Kanto. I personally had wonderful moments with this card. I mean, way back during my time in middle school, where the Pokemon trading card game was just born, I pulled 4, count them, 4 base set Charizards in a span of 18 months. Sadly, all of them were unlimited and none were first edition. Speaking of first edition, if you own a first edition copy of a base set Charizard in graded PSA 10 or Beckett Pristine, you are literally holding a pile of pure gold and diamonds in your hand. A PSA 10 graded card fetches for an eye-catching $30,000 plus, and still climbing as I speak. You can either keep the card for nostalgia and sentiment, or sell it and potentially retire right away. With all of this info, this card is, was, and always will be the holy grail of the Pokemon trading card game, and more than enough reason on why Charizard is number 1 on my list. That's gonna do it for this top 5 list. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe for more, and don't forget to check out my gaming channel, Markis P Gaming, for video game Let's Play content. I will see you later, but until then, like always, take care.